So today, we're diving deep into the world of autonomous vehicles. We see them all over the news, we hear about these incredible promises, but what's really going on inside the mind of a self-driving car? Well, the reality is way more complex, and frankly, a lot more interesting than you might think.
To really get these cars, you have to understand that they live a kind of secret life. See, before a self-driving car's wheels ever touch a real road, its AI, the driver, has already clocked billions of miles. Not on actual pavement, but inside these incredibly realistic virtual worlds, practicing for just about every crazy scenario you could imagine.
And right there, that sets up the huge tension at the heart of all of this. On one side, you've got the money. We're talking about a global market that's projected to be worth over $130 billion. But on the other side, you have the morals. Every single moment these cars are driving, they're facing these deep ethical questions, a kind of continuous trolley problem, where they are constantly making choices about who gets a little more risk and who gets a little less.
Okay, let's get into it. First things first, it's absolutely crucial to know that not all self-driving cars are created equal. Not even close. There's actually a formal system, a ladder of automation, if you will, that spells out exactly what a car can and, more importantly, can't do all by itself.
And this is that ladder, the SAE levels. So level 0 to 2, that's really just fancy driver support. You are always in charge. But the big jump, the game changer, is level 3. This is where everything shifts. At level 3, for the very first time, the car is officially driving, and that means the manufacturer, not you, is legally on the hook if things go wrong. That is a massive deal. From there, level 4 locks the car into a specific area, and level 5, the holy grail of driving anywhere, anytime, yeah, that still doesn't exist.
So how do these more advanced cars actually think? Well, it's not just one thing. The smartest systems actually try to copy the two ways our own brains work. One is super fast and intuitive, and the other is slow and much more deliberate. The first part is deep learning. You can think of this as the AI's System 1 brain. It's pure gut instinct. It's been trained on just unbelievable amounts of driving data, so it gets incredibly good at recognizing patterns. That's a car, that's a pedestrian, that's a stop sign. It's all reflexive, instantaneous. But here's the million-dollar question, right? What happens when the car sees something totally new? Something so rare, so out of the blue, that it wasn't in those billions of miles of training data? A system that's purely reflexive could just fail.
And that brings us to the solution. Now, I know this diagram looks complicated, but the idea behind it is actually pretty simple. Researchers are adding a System 2 brain, a common-sense reasoning engine. Think of it as the slow, logical part, the adult in the room. When the fast System 1 gets confused, this engine kicks in. It uses basic rules that humans programmed in to analyze the situation and act as a critical safety net. It's what keeps the car from making a dumb, reflexive mistake.
So, if you need to train an AI for these totally bizarre, once-in-a-lifetime moments, how on earth do you do it? I mean, you can't just drive around waiting for lightning to strike. So what's the answer? You build a world where the impossible happens every single day.
Companies like Waymo have basically created the Matrix, but for cars. These are these amazing virtual worlds where their AI can be put through the ringer, practicing for scenarios that are way too dangerous, way too rare, or just way too weird to ever find in real life.
I mean, this lets them safely prepare the AI for just utter chaos. You want to see how the car handles a tornado suddenly appearing on the highway? No problem. You can simulate that.
Or what does it do when it comes across something that just makes no sense at all? Like, I don't know, an elephant just blocking the road.
They can even train for the absolutely absurd, like a pedestrian wandering around in a T-Rex costume. See, by preparing for the impossible, they make sure the system is tough enough to handle all the endless strangeness of the real world.
All right, let's shift gears now and get to the most human part of this whole thing, the ethics. Because the biggest moral tests for these cars, they don't happen in some dramatic Hollywood-style crash. Nope, they happen every single second of a completely normal drive.
Just think about it for a second. When you're driving, you're making these tiny adjustments all the time. How much space do you give the cyclist on your right versus the big truck on your left? Every single one of those little moves is a decision about who gets a little more risk and who gets a little less. Researchers call this the continuous trolley problem, and an AV has to be programmed with a rule to follow. So what do people actually want these cars to do? Well, researchers in Germany tested this exact situation. Take a look. The yellow car has a choice. Option A, stay dead center, which is the safest spot for itself and for everyone overall. Or option B, Nudge a little closer to the single driver, taking on a tiny bit more risk to give a bigger safety cushion to the car with more people in it. So what's the right call here?
The results were honestly pretty incredible. People showed a surprising amount of, well, altruism. Even when they were told to imagine themselves as the passenger in that yellow car, they were willing to accept a slightly higher personal risk if it meant better protecting a larger group of complete strangers.
And this chart just lays it all out so clearly. Look, when the cars have an equal number of people, 1 versus 1, participants put the AV right smack in the middle, position 50. Makes sense, right? It's fair. But look what happens when the numbers get unbalanced. The more people there were in the other car, the further away participants moved their own car, shifting it over to protect the greater number. It's a clear utilitarian instinct, even if it comes at a small personal cost. So let's pull all this together. We've seen that the road to self-driving is a formal ladder of SAE levels, all defined by a huge shift in legal responsibility. We've learned that the car's mind is a hybrid approach of fast gut feelings and slow, careful logic, and that it learns by driving billions of miles in virtual simulations. And maybe the biggest takeaway of all is that self-driving isn't just a tech problem. Every single decision is an ethical choice about tiny amounts of risk.
And that leaves us with one final thought. And let's make it personal. If you were sitting in that self-driving car and it asked you to choose, on one side of you, a car with a single person inside. On the other, a car with a family of 5. Where would you tell it to drive?